Road rage is why police say a father of 3 is now dead, gunned down at this FedEx in Riviera Beach where he worked. And according to his arrest report, the suspect was so angry he followed him all the way from St. Lucie County.
Was stalking Paget repeatedly.
A senseless act is how loved ones describe the deadly shooting of 34-year-old Nathaniel Paget. Police say the FedEx driver was shot 7 times by Tyler Vidro,
gunning down our victim.
In the arrest report, Paget's girlfriend told police it all started here in Port St. Lucie and escalated on the Florida Turnpike. Paget picked her up in his FedEx truck, and she says Vidro pulled up and tried to provoke them, then followed for nearly an hour to the FedEx facility in Riviera Beach. Police say surveillance cameras were rolling and show Vidro waiting, then trying to fight Paget, claiming he hit his car. Paget ignored him and drove away, then Vidro chased again. That's when police say Paget stopped, got out, and grabbed a brick to confront Vidro. Moments later, officers say Vidro shot Paget. Officers say Vidro drove to a nearby gas station and called 911 on himself, confessing to emptying his magazine, fearing for his life. But for at least 43 miles, Vidro allegedly followed Paget and entered the private FedEx lot. Investigators say he did not act in self-defense.
Hindsight is 20/20.
I asked police what others should do if they feel they're being stalked.
Don't engage, don't confront, call 911. Let the police intervene and diffuse the situation.
Vidro is now facing 1 count of first-degree murder plus aggravated stalking. And when I reached out to FedEx, they told me their thoughts are with Paget's friends, family, and loved ones. In Riviera Beach, I'm Kayla McDermott.
Shalom. First, I start off by giving all great honor to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Rakakadash. Double honor to teach sellers and apostle, great millstone, likewise brothers who know this truth. Faithfully, fearlessly feeding the sheep and two brothers and sisters. And again, Shalom, today's lesson's title, Redeeming the Time, because the days are evil. Now, you saw in that opening clip, which described a standoff between, a so-called black man who was a FedEx worker and a so-called white man, who was a driver of another vehicle, and the claim is that the FedEx truck hit his vehicle and didn't stop, to investigate. Henceforth, road rage, as they like to call it. He followed him, probably more concerned about, his insurance premium or something like that. And then when he gets to the parking lot, the so-called black man, who's the Federal Express or FedEx worker, jumped out in a combative stance with a brick. And so this white driver, so to speak, a so-called white driver, he decided that he would open fire, with his weapon, and then he claimed that it was self-defense. And of course, you can see from the news that they don't look at it as self-defense, that it was actually intentional first-degree murder, which I have to agree with that. Let's go into the book of Ephesians 5 and verse 15 reads, See then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. So we're in a time right now where people, they're frustrated, they're angry at the system, they think the system has failed them, especially these Edomites, these so-called white people, and especially the so-called white male, The so-called white male is the most dangerous person on this earth. He's the most dangerous creation on this earth. I repeat, the so-called white male, those that identify as Caucasian, are the most dangerous creatures on this earth. So you have to be aware of them, because right now they see that their kingdom is falling, everything matters to them, and you as a so-called black man who they perceive as the enemy that's ruining their heaven, you're a target. And as you can see that this this Jake, he wasn't using wisdom. You would think that if he's in the uniform, that he would act appropriately. I don't know if any of you had to wear a uniform for your job, but when you have the uniform on, you're representing that company. So there's a certain decorum that you have to present, even if it's not really your true nature. You still have to, basically you have to act in a way that is not going to bring embarrassment, or unwanted attention to that organization. Just like, the person who's in customer service, they're dealing with the customer. The customer can be irritable and irate them. But what do you do? Sir, can I help you? Ma'am, can I help you? Sure, I would like to do that, please. I would like to help you. You see what I'm saying? So he didn't use any type of wisdom. He basically jumped out in an immediate stance. Okay, he knew the guy was following him. As I say, he should have maybe called 911. They would have easily have tracked, the situation. Okay, and could have put an end to that, especially the fact that you're a delivery driver. Okay, and there's a certain way that those people are covered. You can't threaten a postal worker. Okay, that's you're gonna end up in federal prison. Okay, if you hurt a postal worker. So he jumped over the brick, and this, you can say you can say he's an Edomite. Saw an opportunity to live out his fantasy. He shot him, multiple times, and then fled and called 911 and tried to play the victim. Do you see how that worked? Again, he tried to play the victim after executing the so-called black man in the parking lot of his employment. All right, but that's why it's critical that we adhere to these warnings. Okay, that's written in these scriptures. Okay, which talks about what you have to redeem the time. You have to understand the time that we're in. We're in a time, where people are going to kill each other, off each other. You have to have this heightened awareness, okay, of the danger that is around us. In fact, let's go into Colossians 4 and verse 5. It reads, "Walk in wisdom towards them that are without, redeeming the time. Let your speech be always with grace, seasoned with salt, that you may know how you ought to answer every man." And the way this could have been done, he could have stepped out of the truck and go, "You're following me. What's going on, man? Calm the situation down. What? You said I hit you. Okay, well, let's take a look around the truck and let's see if this happened. I don't think I hit you, but, it's a big truck. Maybe I did." Because at the end of the day, FedEx would have paid for the damages. He might have gotten a reprimand, whatever the cases like that, if it was speeding or whatever the cases like that. But FedEx would have paid for it. This Jake did not have to, and I'm going to call him a Jake. He looks like, from, like Judah. He didn't have to lose his life for this. Okay, so once you step out with a brandishing something that looks like a weapon, like a brick, automatically the message goes out is that your intention is to approach this in a combative way. Okay, so you can see here the way he answered it. Okay, the way man would answer it would be verbal. Okay, let's take a look at the situation. Our insurance can take care of this. There's no need for us to throw fists at each other. But instead, he pulled out a brick, and the so-called white man. Okay, he pulled out his sword, which is the Glock that he had, and the result was what looked to be a Jake went into the spirit world. In fact, let's go to Ecclesiastes 39. Verse 27 reads, "All these things are for good to the godly, so to the sinners they are turned into evil. There be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of destruction they pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them." So this, we don't know. Looking at the Jake, he's got the little dreadlocks. You look at, he had a family. He was a family man. But he got the dreadlocks, and the way he pulled up with the brick, that can give an indication that he has a violent tendencies, okay, or he, although he was responsible, he had a job and a family and everything like that, he tend to deal with things more in a violent way, okay, and basically that's what it comes down to. So we can imagine, the things he might have done in his previous lives to offend Yahweh Shem Shai, we don't know, but the Lord dealt with him like this. He got put to death in a parking lot, okay, on his job. And this is how the Lord does things, okay. It's a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living power, okay, roughly paraphrasing, because you have no guarantee of anything and you don't know what you did. And it's just Yahweh Bashim is scary, okay. It's just that's all I can say. Let's close over the book of Proverbs 27 and verse 1. It reads, "Boast not thyself of tomorrow, for thou knowest not what a day may bring forth." Let me read that again. It says, "Boast not thyself of tomorrow, for thou knowest not what a day may bring forth." I can imagine he was going to go see his wife, children, and they were going to have dinner and they had plans maybe for vacation, all kinds of things. Maybe that so-called white man, okay, he probably had plans too. Okay, and just like that, the Lord put the spirit in him. You know, he got rid of two wicked creation for the price of one. He put the spirit in that Edomite to go cancel out that Jake, put him in the spirit world. Okay, and now this Edomite is now going to prison, possibly for the rest of his life. And you know how it is right now. What are they putting it out there? White man kill black man, etc., etc., etc. We're in those times right now. So I just wanted to bring this out because I thought this was something that could be a warning to all of us, to be honestly, with you, because people do cut you off, and there's a lot of things going on right now that can even irritate us, even though we know these scriptures, and we have to constantly remind ourselves and remind each other, okay, that we have to redeem the time because the days are evil. Lord willing, the elect was edified because we're giving all glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash, Shalom.